When my 16-year-old grandson looked me dead in the eyes at his birthday party and called me useless in front of 60 people, I felt something inside me shift. Not break, shift. I had spent 3 months planning that party. I had paid for every single decoration, every plate of food, every balloon that floated against that ceiling. And in that moment, standing in the middle of the venue I had personally booked and paid for, I made a decision that would change everything. I turned around, walked straight to the venue owner, a kind man named Richard, whom I had gotten to know over weeks of planning, and I said 5 words that made my grandson's face go white. "Richard, we are leaving now." You should have seen the cake hit the floor. My name is Evelyn, and I am 72 years old. This is the story of how I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone you love is to stop letting them use you. Let me take you back to where this all started, because this was not just about one cruel word at one party. This was about years of small cuts that I had ignored until I was bleeding out. I have always been the family organizer, the grandmother who remembered every birthday, every school play, every anniversary. When my husband Walter passed away 8 years ago, I threw myself even deeper into caring for my family. It gave me purpose. It made the empty house feel less empty. My son, Gregory, and his wife Diane had 2 children, Marcus, who was turning 16, and his younger sister Lily, who was 13. I loved those children with my whole heart. Every Sunday, I would drive the 20 minutes to their house and cook dinner: pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans the way Gregory liked them. I would bring groceries because I knew money was sometimes tight. Diane worked part-time at a dental office, and Gregory managed a hardware store. They were good people, I told myself. They were just stressed, just busy, just struggling like everyone else. I had sold Walter's truck last year to help them with a down payment on a newer car. I babysat Marcus and Lily for years without ever asking for a dime. When Marcus wanted to join the travel basketball team but they could not afford it, I paid the fees. When Lily needed braces, I contributed half. I did not think of it as keeping score. I thought of it as love. But looking back now, I should have noticed the way Diane would glance at Gregory whenever I offered help. I should have noticed how Marcus started looking at his phone whenever I walked into a room. I should have noticed that thank you became less frequent and grandma can you became more common. I should have noticed when my contributions stopped feeling like gifts and started feeling like expectations.
It was late January when Marcus came to me with those bright eyes and that charming smile. He sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I had taught him to roll out cookie dough when he was 5, and he said, "Grandma, I have a huge favor to ask." My heart swelled. He was asking me for something. He wanted my help. I poured him a glass of lemonade and sat down, ready to do whatever he needed. "My 16th birthday is coming up in April," he said. "I really want to have a big party, like a real party, at a venue, with all my friends and the basketball team and everyone from school." "That sounds wonderful, sweetheart," I said. "What kind of party are you thinking?" He pulled out his phone and showed me pictures. A beautiful event space across town called Riverside Hall. High ceilings, chandeliers, a stage area for music, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a small lake. It was gorgeous. It was also expensive. I could tell that just by looking at it. "Mom and Dad said they cannot really afford it this year," Marcus said, and then he reached across the table and took my hand. "But I thought maybe you could help. You are always so generous, Grandma. You are the best grandma anyone could ask for." My chest tightened with love. He needed me. He valued me. "How much are we talking about?" I asked gently. He told me. The venue rental was $1,200. Then there was catering, decorations, a DJ, a cake from the fancy bakery he loved. Altogether, he estimated about $4,000. $4,000. I lived on a fixed income, Social Security, and a small pension from Walter's job. I had savings, yes, money I had been careful with, money I had planned to leave to Gregory and the grandchildren someday, money that was supposed to be for emergencies, or for helping with college, or for something truly important. But when I looked at Marcus sitting there, looking at me with such hope, I heard myself say, "Let me think about it, honey. Let me look at my accounts." He hugged me. "You are the best grandma, seriously. I love you so much." That night, I sat at my desk and looked at my bank statements. I could do it. It would take a significant chunk of my savings, but I could do it. And this was important to him. 16 was a milestone. He would remember this party forever. He would remember that his grandmother made it possible. So I called him the next day and told him yes. The sound of his excitement made me feel useful, valuable, loved. Over the next 2 months, planning that party became my full-time job. I met with Richard, the owner of Riverside Hall, 3 times to go over every detail. He was a kind man in his early 50s, patient and warm. He showed me lighting options and talked me through catering packages. I paid the deposit, then the second payment, then the final payment. Everything came directly out of my account. I coordinated with the caterer. I spent hours on the phone choosing between chicken piccata and beef medallions. I ordered custom decorations in Marcus's school colors, navy and silver. I hired a DJ that his friend had recommended. I went to 4 different bakeries before I found the one that could make the 3-tier cake he had shown me in a picture, chocolate with buttercream frosting and a basketball design on top.
Every time I checked in with Gregory and Diane, they thanked me. "Mom, this is so generous," Gregory would say. "We really appreciate it." Diane would nod and smile. But neither of them offered to contribute even $50. Neither of them offered to help with the planning. They just let me do it all. And Marcus? After that first conversation, he barely asked about the party. When I would excitedly tell him about the DJ I had booked or the menu I had selected, he would say, "Cool, Grandma, sounds good," without looking up from his phone. But I told myself he was just being a teenager. He was busy with school and basketball. He trusted me to handle it. That was a compliment, was it not? 2 weeks before the party, I went to their house for Sunday dinner. I had brought a pot of my homemade chicken soup and fresh bread. While we were eating, Diane said, "So, Evelyn, you have got everything handled for the party, right? We do not need to worry about anything?" "Everything is all set," I said proudly. "It is going to be beautiful." "Good," she said, "because we have been so swamped. I do not know what we would have done if you had not stepped up." Stepped up, as if it had been my responsibility all along. Marcus came downstairs then, earbuds in, and grabbed a piece of bread without sitting down. I said, "Marcus, honey, are you excited about the party? It is only 2 weeks away." He shrugged. "Yeah, I guess." "You guess?" I said, trying to keep my voice light. "I thought you were really looking forward to it." "I mean, yeah, it will be cool," he said. "But Jake's parents rented out that place downtown for his party and had a live band. So I hope this doesn't look cheap in comparison." My stomach dropped. "Cheap?" "You know what I mean," he said dismissively. "Anyway, I've got to go. I'm meeting some people." He walked out, and I sat there with my soup growing cold in front of me. Diane laughed awkwardly. Teenagers, right? They are never satisfied. But Gregory said nothing. He just kept eating. That night, lying in bed, I felt the first whisper of doubt. Not about my love for Marcus, but about whether my love was being returned or just expected. The day of the party was a Saturday in mid-April. The weather was perfect, sunny but not too hot, with a light breeze that made the trees around Riverside Hall sway gently. I arrived 3 hours early to oversee the setup. Richard met me at the door with a smile. "Big day," he said warmly. "You ready?" "I think so," I said, though my hands were shaking slightly. I had barely slept. I wanted everything to be perfect. I watched as the decorating team hung navy and silver streamers from the ceiling, arranged centerpieces on each table, set up a balloon arch near the entrance. The caterers arrived and started setting up their warming trays. The DJ came and tested his equipment. The cake was delivered, a towering masterpiece that looked even better than the picture. Richard checked in with me every 30 minutes. "You doing okay, Evelyn?" he would ask. "Can I get you some water? You should sit down for a bit." I waved him off. "I'm fine. I just want to make sure everything is right." By the time guests started arriving at 5 o'clock, the venue looked magical. The chandeliers cast a golden glow over everything. The tables were set with navy blue cloths and silver napkins. There was a photo booth area with props. There was a dessert table in addition to the cake. It was more beautiful than I had even imagined. I stood near the entrance greeting people as they arrived. Marcus's friends from school, his basketball teammates, neighbors, some of Gregory's relatives I had not seen in years. Everyone complimented the venue. "Wow, this is incredible," they kept saying. "This must have cost a fortune." I just smiled. Marcus arrived with Gregory, Diane, and Lily at 5:30. He walked in, looked around, and said, Okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. That was it. No hug, no thank you, Grandma. Just pretty cool before he immediately went off with his friends. I told myself it was fine. He was 16. He was excited. He would thank me later. The party was in full swing by 6 o'clock. Music pumped through the speakers. Kids were dancing, eating, laughing. The adults stood around the edges, chatting and watching. I moved through the crowd, making sure everything was running smoothly, checking with the caterers, refilling drinks, playing hostess. I noticed Gregory and Diane standing with a group of their friends near the back. I walked over, hoping they might acknowledge what I had done. Diane saw me coming and said loudly enough for the group to hear, "Here is the woman of the hour. Evelyn planned this entire thing. We have been so blessed to have her help."
Blessed to have my help. Not grateful, not she is incredibly generous. Just blessed to have my help, as if I were hired staff. One of the women said, "Oh, Evelyn, this must have been so much work. Did they at least chip in?" There was a brief, awkward silence. Gregory cleared his throat and said, "Mom wanted to do this. It was her gift to Marcus." Wanted to, as if I had come up with the idea myself. I smiled tightly and excused myself. My face felt hot. I went to the restroom and stood in front of the mirror, breathing slowly. I told myself I was being overly sensitive. This party was for Marcus. It was not about me. When I came back out, I saw Marcus standing with a group of his teammates near the DJ booth. I walked over, thinking maybe now he would thank me, now that he could see how well everything had turned out. "Marcus, honey," I said, touching his shoulder gently, "are you having a good time?" He turned, and his face was annoyed. "Grandma, yeah, it is fine." "The cake will be coming out soon," I said, "and then we will do presents. I put the gift table over there by the—" "Grandma, I know," he said, cutting me off. "You do not have to, manage everything. I got it." One of his friends snickered. I felt my cheeks flush. "I just wanted to make sure you were happy," I said quietly. "I am," he said flatly. "Can you just let me hang out with my friends now?" I stepped back as if he had pushed me. "Of course, I am sorry." I walked away, my eyes stinging. Around me, people were laughing and dancing and having a wonderful time at the party I had paid for, and I felt utterly invisible. But what I did not know was that things were about to get even worse. At 7 o'clock, it was time for the cake. Richard helped me coordinate getting everyone gathered around. The DJ lowered the music, the lights dimmed. The caterers wheeled out the massive 3-tier cake, 16 candles flickering on top. Everyone sang happy birthday. Marcus stood in front of the cake, grinning, his phone out to record. When the song ended, he blew out the candles, and everyone cheered. Then Gregory stepped forward with a microphone the DJ had provided. "Hey everyone, can I have your attention for a minute?" The room quieted. I stood off to the side, near the back. "I just want to say thank you all for coming to celebrate my son," Gregory said. 16 is a big milestone, and we wanted to make this party special. Diane and I are so proud of Marcus and everything he has accomplished. We are proud of the young man he is becoming. People clapped. My heart started to beat faster. Was he going to acknowledge me? Was he going to thank me publicly for making this possible? "We worked really hard to put this together," Gregory continued, and my stomach dropped. It was not easy, but we wanted Marcus to have a night he would never forget. So Marcus, happy birthday, son. We love you. More applause. Gregory handed the microphone back to the DJ without once mentioning my name. I stood there, frozen. We worked really hard. We wanted. As if I had not existed. As if I had not spent months planning and thousands of dollars funding every single detail of this party. A woman standing near me, someone I vaguely recognized as a neighbor, leaned over and whispered, "That is so sweet. They really went all out for him." I could not breathe. My vision started to narrow at the edges. I walked quickly toward the hallway where the restrooms were, just needing a moment alone, a moment to collect myself. But as I rounded the corner, I heard voices, Diane's voice specifically, coming from a small alcove near the coat check. "I mean, I feel a little bad," Diane was saying, "but honestly, she offered. It is not like we twisted her arm." "I know, but $4,000?" another woman's voice said. I peeked around the corner and saw Diane talking with her sister, Pamela. "That is a lot of money." Diane shrugged. "She has it. And what else is she going to spend it on? She just sits at home all day. At least this way she gets to feel useful, like she is contributing." Feel useful. "Still," Pamela said, "you could have at least helped with the planning." "Why?" Diane said, laughing. "She loved doing it. It gave her something to do.
Honestly, she would probably be depressed with us giving her projects. Projects. I pressed my back against the wall, my heart hammering. Is that what I was to them? A source of money and labor? Someone to keep busy so I wouldn't be depressed? I wanted to confront her right then. I wanted to walk into that alcove and demand an apology, demand respect, demand acknowledgement. But my body would not move. I just stood there, shaking. That's when I noticed something that changed everything. I forced myself to walk back into the main hall. I moved like I was underwater, everything slow and muffled. I found a chair at an empty table near the back and sat down. My hands were trembling in my lap. I watched Marcus laughing with his friends. I watched Gregory and Diane mingling, accepting compliments about the party. I watched people eat the food I had paid for, dance to the music I had hired, take photos in front of the decorations I had chosen. And I realized something with painful clarity. I had been so afraid of being useless, of being unneeded, that I had let myself become used. I sat there for 20 minutes, thinking, not reacting, thinking. Then I stood up and walked over to where Richard was standing near the entrance, checking something on his clipboard. "Richard," I said quietly, "can I talk to you privately for a moment?" "Of course," he said, concerned. "Is everything all right? Is there a problem with the catering?" "No, everything is perfect," I said. "But I need to ask you something important. The contract for this venue, who signed it?" "You did," he said, puzzled. "And you paid in full. Why?" "And if I wanted to end the event early," I said slowly, "could I do that?" His eyes widened. "Well, technically yes. You are the client. You booked the space. But Evelyn, what is going on? Did something happen?" I looked back at the party, at my grandson who had barely acknowledged me, at my son who had claimed credit for my work, at my daughter-in-law who thought I was just a project to keep me busy. "Not yet," I said, "but it is about to." I asked Richard if I could sit in his office for a few minutes. He led me down a hallway to a small, tidy office and closed the door. I sat in the chair across from his desk and I let myself feel it. All the hurt, all the anger, all the years of being taken for granted. Then I dried my eyes, straightened my shoulders, and made a plan. I returned to the party at exactly 8 o'clock. I had been gone maybe 15 minutes total, but no one had noticed. No one had come looking for me. That told me everything I needed to know. The DJ was playing a loud dance song. Kids were jumping around near the speakers. Adults were lined up at the dessert table. I walked through the crowd, observing everything as if from a distance. I found Lily sitting alone at a table, scrolling on her phone. I sat down next to her. "Hi, sweetheart, are you having fun?" She looked up and smiled. Lily had always been kinder than Marcus, softer. "Yeah, Grandma, this party is amazing. You did such a good job." My throat tightened. "Thank you, honey. That means a lot to me." "I heard Mom and Dad talking," she said carefully. "They said you paid for all of this." "I did." "That was really nice of you." She hesitated. "But Marcus has been kind of rude today. I heard him tell his friend that he wished the party was at that other place, the one downtown." I nodded slowly. "Did he?" "I'm sorry, Grandma. You deserve better." I kissed the top of her head. "You are a good girl, Lily. Don't ever change." I stood and walked toward where Marcus was standing with his basketball team. They were laughing loudly about something, shoving each other playfully. I approached and said, "Marcus, can I talk to you for just a second?" He rolled his eyes, actually rolled his eyes at me. "What now, Grandma?" "I just wanted to check in and make sure you are enjoying your party." "It's fine," he said dismissively. "I told you already." One of his friends, a tall boy with braces, said, "Dude, your grandma planned all this? That's actually pretty cool." "Yeah, whatever," Marcus said. He looked at me. "Did you need something? Because we are kind of in the middle of something." I felt something hardened in my chest. "No," I said quietly. "I do not need anything at all. Enjoy your party, Marcus." I walked away. Behind me, I heard one of his friends say, "Dude, that was kind of harsh." And Marcus responded, "She's fine. She loves that stuff." I made my way back to Richard. He was standing near the DJ booth, and when he saw my face, he immediately stepped closer. "Evelyn? I'm going to need your help," I said, "in about 30 minutes. He nodded seriously. "Whatever you need." Little did they know, I was 3 steps ahead.
At 8:30, Gregory found me near the gift table and said, "Mom, this party is a huge hit. Everyone is having a great time." "I am glad," I said evenly. "You did good," he said, patting my shoulder as if I were a child who had completed a chore. "Gregory," I said, "when you gave that speech earlier, you said you and Diane worked really hard to put this together." He blinked. "Well, yeah, I mean, we helped." "How exactly did you help?" He shifted uncomfortably. "We coordinated with you. We gave input." "You gave input," I repeated. "Did you pay for anything?" His face reddened. Mom, you know we are tight on money right now. We thought this was your gift to Marcus. You said you wanted to do it. I did want to do it, I said, but that does not mean you get to take credit for it. I was not taking credit, he said defensively. I was just thanking people for coming. You said we worked hard. You said we wanted to make it special. You did not mention me once. Because I assumed everyone knew you helped, he said, his voice rising slightly. Why are you making a big deal out of this? Because, I said, my voice steady and cold. I paid for every single thing you see here. I planned every detail. I spent 3 months of my life making sure your son had the perfect party, and you let everyone in this room think you did it. Mom, that is not... And Diane, I continued, told her sister that I did this because I needed a project to feel useful, that I would be depressed without you giving me things to do. Gregory's face went pale. She did not mean it like that. How did she mean it then? He did not answer. I have given everything to this family, I said. My time, my money, my love. And in return, I have been treated like hired help, like a checkbook with legs. That is not fair, Gregory said. We appreciate you, we do. No, I said. You expect me. There is a difference. I walked away from him before he could respond. My whole body was shaking, but my mind
was crystal clear. Everything was about to change, and they had no idea it was coming. At 9 o'clock, the DJ announced that it was time to cut the cake. Everyone gathered around again. The caterers brought out plates and forks. Marcus stood in front of the massive 3-tier cake, posing for photos with his friends. Diane appeared at my elbow. Evelyn, can you help pass out cake plates? I stared at her. Excuse me? Just, help make sure everyone gets a slice. There are a lot of people. She was asking me to serve cake at the party I had paid for. Diane, I said slowly, did you want to thank me for anything? She looked confused. Thank you? Yes, thank you, Evelyn. This has been great. Great, I repeated. Is something wrong? She asked, frowning. Before I could answer, Marcus's voice cut through the room, loud and annoyed. Grandma, stop hovering. You are literally everywhere. It is embarrassing. The room went quiet. Everyone turned to look at us. Marcus was glaring at me from across the cake table. I am not hovering, I said, my voice shaking. I am trying to make sure you have a nice party. Well, it is my party, not yours, he snapped. You do not have to be involved in every single thing. It is annoying. Someone gasped softly. I felt every eye in that room on me. Marcus, Gregory said sharply, that is enough. What? Marcus said. I'm just saying. She has been micromanaging everything all night. It is my birthday. She should just let me enjoy it. I have been micromanaging, I said quietly, because I planned every detail of this party, because I paid for every single thing here. Marcus shrugged. Okay, so that doesn't mean you have to be all up in my business. All up in your business, I repeated. I felt something inside me crack wide open. Marcus, do you have any idea how much this party cost? He looked uncomfortable. I don't know, a lot, I guess. $4,000, I said. The room was dead silent now. $4,000. That is how much I spent to give you this party. And you have not thanked me once. Not once. I did thank you, he said defensively. No, I said, you have not. You told me it was pretty cool. You complained that it might look cheap compared to someone else's party. You told your friend you wished it was somewhere else. And now you are calling me embarrassing. His face flushed red. Some of his friends were looking at the floor. I didn't mean it like that.
Then how did you mean it? I just meant, look, I appreciate it, okay? But you do not have to make it this big thing. It is just a party. Just a party. I looked at him, standing there, 16 years old, entitled and ungrateful, and I felt a calm settle over me. You are right, I said. It is just a party. I turned and walked straight toward Richard, who was standing near the entrance. He saw me coming and straightened. Richard, I said clearly, loud enough for people nearby to hear. We are leaving now. His eyes widened. Are you sure? I am absolutely sure. Grandma, what are you talking about? Marcus called out behind me. I ignored him. Richard nodded once, understanding in his eyes. He walked to the DJ and said something. The music cut off abruptly. The lights came up to full brightness. Ladies and gentlemen,
Richard's voice came over the microphone. "I apologize for the interruption, but I need to inform you that this event is ending immediately. The client has requested that we close the venue. I am going to need everyone to gather their belongings and exit within the next 15 minutes. Thank you for your cooperation." Chaos erupted. Marcus's mouth fell open. "What? No, Grandma, what are you doing?" I turned to face him. The entire room was staring at us now, guests frozen with plates of food in their hands, confused and shocked. "I am leaving," I said calmly. "And since I paid for this venue, the party is over." "You cannot do that," Marcus shouted. "This is my birthday party." "Yes," I said, "it was. And you called me embarrassing. You called me useless." "I did not say useless. You said I was hovering and annoying and that I should not be involved. That is the same thing." I looked at him, really looked at him. "I gave you this party, Marcus. Every detail, every decoration, every piece of food, and you could not even say thank you." Diane rushed forward. "Evelyn, please, can we talk about this? You are overreacting." "Am I?" I turned to her. "You told your sister I needed projects to keep me from being depressed. You said this made me feel useless." Her face went white. "You were not supposed to hear that." "But I did hear it, and now I know exactly what you think of me." Gregory pushed through the crowd. "Mom, stop this. You are embarrassing everyone." "I am embarrassing everyone?" I said, my voice rising for the first time. "I have spent years pouring everything I have into this family, and the moment I stand up for myself, I am the embarrassment?" "This is not the way to handle this," Gregory said. "We can talk later." "No," I said firmly, "we cannot, because later you will apologize just enough to make me feel guilty, and then nothing will change. You will keep taking, and I will keep giving, and we will pretend everything is fine. But I am done pretending."
Marcus's face was red, tears of anger in his eyes. "You are ruining my party. Everyone is going to think I did something wrong." "You did do something wrong," I said. "You treated me like I was worthless, and your parents let you." "I did not," Marcus's voice cracked. "Fine, I am sorry, okay? Is that what you want? I am sorry. Now can everyone stay?" "No," I said, "because you are not sorry that you hurt me. You are sorry that there are consequences." I turned back to Richard. "Are we ready?" "Yes, ma'am," he said quietly. There was something like respect in his eyes. Marcus grabbed the edge of the cake table, his face desperate. "Grandma, please, please do not do this. I will be better, I promise." "Marcus," I said gently, "I love you, but love does not mean letting people hurt me." I started walking toward the door. Richard walked beside me. Behind us, the room erupted in frantic conversations. Guests scrambling for their coats and purses, Marcus yelling, Diane crying, Gregory trying to get people to calm down. And then I heard it. A crash. A collective gasp. I turned. Marcus had been leaning on the cake table, and in his desperation to stop me, he had pushed too hard. The entire 3-tier cake had toppled forward, landing face down on the floor in an explosion of chocolate and buttercream frosting. Marcus stood there, frosting splattered across his shirt, staring at the ruins of his cake with his mouth open. The room was silent. I looked at him, at the cake, at the party I had poured my heart into, now ending in chaos and frosting on the floor, and I felt no satisfaction, just a deep, aching sadness. But also clarity. "Goodbye, Marcus," I said quietly. "Happy birthday." Richard opened the door for me, and we walked out into the cool April night. I sat in Richard's office while his staff worked to clear the venue. I could hear voices in the hallway, people leaving, car doors slamming in the parking lot. My hands were shaking, and I could not seem to stop them. Richard brought me a bottle of water and sat down across from me. "That took courage," he said. "It took me too long," I replied. "For what it is worth," he said, "I have been running this venue for 12 years. I have seen a lot of parties, a lot of families, and I could tell from the first meeting that you were the only one who cared about making that party perfect. I just wanted him to be happy." "I know," Richard said, "but you cannot set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm." I looked up at him. That is a good way to put it. There was a knock on the door. Gregory's voice came from the other side. "Mom, are you in there? Please, we need to talk." Richard looked at me. "Do you want me to send him away?" I considered it. Then I shook my head. "No, let him in, but you stay." Richard opened the door.
Gregory stood there, looking exhausted and angry and worried all at once. "Mom, what the hell was that?" "Watch your language," I said automatically. "You humiliated us," he said. "You ended Marcus's party in front of everyone. He is devastated." "He called me embarrassing and useless," I said. "He is 16. Teenagers say stupid things. And parents are supposed to correct them," I said, "not excuse them." Gregory ran his hand through his hair. "You are right, okay? You are right. He should have been more grateful. But did you have to blow up his entire party?" "Yes," I said simply, "I did. Because nothing else was going to get through to any of you." "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said, my voice steady, "that you have been using me. For money, for labor, for whatever you need. And I let you because I was afraid that if I did not, you would not need me anymore. I was afraid I would lose you." Gregory's face softened. "Mom, you are not going to lose us."
"But I already have," I said, "because the version of me you want is not the real me. You want the grandmother who says yes to everything and never complains, and just keeps giving no matter how she is treated, and I cannot be her anymore. That is not what we want." "Then what do you want, Gregory?" I asked. "Tell me honestly." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I want my mom, the one who is always there when we need her." "But am I allowed to need you?" I asked. "Am I allowed to be hurt when you take credit for my work? Am I allowed to say no when you ask for money I do not have to give?" He did not answer. "I thought so," I said. Diane appeared in the doorway then, her face blotchy from crying. "Evelyn, please, can we fix this?" "I do not know," I said honestly. "Can you?" "We will be more grateful," she said quickly. "We will thank you more. We will make sure Marcus apologizes properly." "It is not about thank yous," I said. "It is about respect. It is about being treated like a person, not a resource." "We do respect you," Gregory said. "No, you do not," I said. "If you did, you would not have claimed credit for this party. You would not let Marcus speak to me that way. You would not talk about me behind my back like I am a charity case who needs to be kept busy." Diane flinched. "I am sorry you heard that. I did not mean—" "You meant it," I interrupted. "You just did not mean for me to hear it. There is a difference." "So what now?" Gregory asked. "You are just going to cut us off. Never speak to us again." "I did not say that," I said. "But things are going to change. I am not going to be your personal bank anymore. I am not going to plan parties or pay for trips or buy things you cannot afford. If you need help, genuinely need help, we can talk about it. But I am done being used." "That is not fair," Diane said. "We never used you. Then why did I spend $4,000 on a party you took credit for?" I asked. She did not have an answer. Richard cleared his throat. "I think maybe Evelyn needs some time alone. This has been a very difficult evening." Gregory looked at me. "Mom, please, do not do this. It is already done," I said. "Now the question is whether you are willing to rebuild on different terms." He stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked out. Diane followed, glancing back once with tears streaming down her face. When they were gone, I put my head in my hands and cried, not because I regretted what I had done, but because it hurt, because choosing yourself always does, when you have spent so long choosing everyone else. Richard sat quietly while I cried, and when I was done, he said, "You did the right thing." "Then why does it feel so terrible?" "Because," he said gently, "love is not supposed to hurt this much, and you have been hurting for a long time." I did not hear from Gregory or Diane for 2 weeks. Not a call, not a text, nothing. It was like I had ceased to exist. But Lily called me 3 days after the party. "Grandma?" Her voice was small. "Are you okay?" "I am okay, sweetheart," I said. "Are you?" "Mom and Dad are really upset, and Marcus has been in his room a lot. But Grandma, I think you were right. I think they were mean to you." "That is kind of you to say." "Can I still see you?" she asked, "even if everyone is mad?" "Of course," I said, my voice breaking.
always. She came over that Saturday, and we baked cookies together like we used to when she was little. She told me about school, about her friends, about a boy she thought was cute. She did not mention the party, and neither did I. When Gregory came to pick her up, he stood on my porch awkwardly. "Thanks for having her," he said stiffly. "She is always welcome here," I said. He nodded and turned to leave. Then he stopped. "Mom, I have been thinking about what you said." And I think maybe I did not realize how much we were asking of you." He looked at the ground. "Or how little we were giving back." "I appreciate you saying that." "I am not ready to talk yet," he said, "but maybe soon." It was not an apology, but it was a start. Marcus never called. Not to apologize, not to yell, not to say anything. I told myself he needed time, that he was ashamed, that eventually he would come around. But as weeks turned into a month, I accepted that he might not, and as much as it hurt, I knew I had done the right thing. Because teaching him that actions have consequences was more loving than teaching him that he could treat people however he wanted as long as they loved him. It has been 6 months since that party, since the cake hit the floor and I walked out of Riverside Hall with my dignity intact for the first time in years. Gregory and I have coffee once a month now. We do not talk about the party. We talk about small things, safe things. He asks how I am, and I think he actually wants to know. It is not the relationship we used to have, but maybe it is more honest. Diane has been polite the few times I have seen her. We will never be close. I have accepted that. Lily still visits every other weekend. She is my light, my reminder that it was not all for nothing. Marcus sent me a text message 2 months ago. It said, "I am sorry for what I said. It was wrong." I wrote back, "I forgive you. I love you. But I need you to understand why what you did hurt me." He never responded. Maybe he will someday. Maybe he will not. I have learned something important in these months. I learned that silence does not mean weakness, that walking away does not mean you do not love someone, that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is stop enabling their cruelty. I learned that I had been so afraid of being useless that I let myself become used. And the irony is that once I stopped trying to prove my worth, I finally felt valuable. I still live in the same house. I still have my routines. But I also started taking a watercolor painting class at the community center. I joined a book club. I made friends who value me for who I am, not for what I can give them. And Richard, the venue owner who stood by me that night, we have had dinner twice. He is kind, he listens, he sees me as a person, not a wallet. It is nice to be seen. I do not know what the future holds for my relationship with Marcus, with Gregory, with Diane. Maybe it will heal fully. Maybe it will stay at this careful distance. But what I do know is that I will never again set myself on fire to keep someone else warm. If you are listening to this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to know something. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You are not cruel for expecting respect. You are not ungrateful for refusing to be used. Love is not supposed to be one-sided. Family is not supposed to drain you dry. And generosity only counts as generosity if it is met with gratitude. I spent years believing that my value came from what I could do for others, that if I just gave enough, love enough, sacrificed enough, I would be appreciated. But the truth is, people who truly love you do not require you to prove your worth. They see it already. If you have someone in your life who calls you useless, who takes your generosity for granted, who makes you feel small while taking everything you have to give, you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to let the cake hit the floor. It will hurt. People will be angry. They will tell you that you are overreacting, that you are being difficult, that you are ruining everything. But what they really mean is that you are disrupting the system where they benefit and you suffer. Stand firm. Your peace matters. Your dignity matters. You matter. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, I would love to hear about your experiences in the comments. And if you are going through something similar right now, I am sending you strength. You are not alone. You are not wrong. And you deserve so much better than what you have been accepting. Remember, every story has a lesson, and yours might just be beginning. My name is Evelyn, and I chose myself. I hope you will too.